Hello, I'm Sarah Coates. Thanks for joining me here on the news desk. Well, let's begin in the region where more than a dozen people were arrested overnight in the Palestinian neighbourhood of Sheikh Jarrah in East Jerusalem as renewed clashes broke out between Jews and Palestinians, with people throwing chairs and pepper spray used over a move to evict Palestinian residents from their homes to be replaced by Jewish residents, with a High Court decision on the matter expected to be handed down on Monday. Well, the issue drawing Palestinian faction Hamas into the fray, with the terror group saying it will fire rockets into Israel from the Gaza Strip if the court evicts Palestinian residents from their homes, while the European Union and the US are also weighing in, critical of Israel over what may be to come.
The events in Sheikh Jarrah, there are legal procedures that the residents of Sheikh Jarrah are awaiting, and all Jerusalemites and Palestinians in general. This decision is unjust towards Palestinians. It is being delayed in the court because it is not legal and it is not just.
Moving now to Israeli politics, and the man tasked with forming a new government, Yesh Atid leader Yair Lapid, has given his first major address to media, dismissing talks of defectors from the anti-Netanyahu bloc while calling for the immediate establishment of a unity government. Well, this is Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who failed to cobble together a coalition, is lashing out at his former ally and Security Minister Naftali Bennett, who is now a potential partner with Lapid, telling a meeting of Likud party members that Bennett is trying to hide the truth. This will be a left-wing government, a weak government that bows its head in the face of international pressure. Well, Lapid now has less than a month to try and get the support that he needs in his bid to form a government to avoid a fifth round of elections. And joining me now is Aviv Bushinsky, who's a former Chief of Staff and Media Advisor to Prime Minister Netanyahu. Aviv, good morning. Thank you so much for coming on to chat politics with us. Firstly, tell me, Aviv, just how confident are you that Netanyahu may be able to score some defectors to block Lapid from forming a government?
Looks like he's losing the battle, actually. He was hoping that maybe Ayelet Shaked, a senior partner in the Yamina party, will, so to speak, defect and will not adhere to its leader, Naftali Bennett, and go to such a eclectic coalition. But it seems that this endeavor is failing. And perhaps the only hope that Netanyahu has at the moment is either Yamina party will reconsider this option, or maybe out of the 10 members in the Arab parties, including Ram, the 4 members of the Arab parties, perhaps maybe they, at least the 6 of them, will not agree to support a prime minister that his name is Naftali Bennett. And then this alternative government will end up with 57 seats or 58 seats or 60 seats. So it will be some kind of a minority government. But it looks today that the alternative government is forming, and maybe next week it will be a done deal.
So if you were Lapid's advisor right now, Aviv, tell me, what would your advice to him be?
I think that Lapid is playing his card brilliantly. First of all, he gave the first 2 years to his partner with 7 seats, bearing in mind that in the 70s, to be prime minister, you had to have between 40 to 56 seats. And nowadays, Naftali Bennett actually has practically 6 seats and going to be prime minister. So first of all, he gave the first 2 years to Naftali Bennett. Second of all, they agreed upon handing out all the different portfolios, the ministerial portfolios, prior to agreeing upon the guidelines of the government. So perhaps this is the most important element. And they passed this obstacle. So now they have to close some little deals. And again, it all ends up whether Naftali Bennett will be strong enough politically or will not bend to the right-wing pressure. And if in such case, then he'll join this coalition. Will be a very challenging coalition, but it looks like this is what we are going to face in the next coming days.
And Aviv, tell me, as someone who was close to power, what would be the feeling within the Likud party right now, and what would you advise Netanyahu to do?
This is a good question. First of all, I think that Netanyahu is also hoping that maybe, if I may say, some exogenic event will force Naftali Bennett not to go to this ordeal, such as eruption in the territories or any event in Gaza. So in that case, it will show the difference between the right-wingers and the extreme left, such as maybe Meretz and the Arab parties, of course. Netanyahu has another battle to fight, and this is to show his partners in his party and his partners that he's strong enough to fight. And actually nowadays, Netanyahu is the prime minister, but practically is the head of the opposition. In case he will fail in doing so, I think that some people, maybe in the Likud party, will ask some questions whether Netanyahu is capable in continuing leading the right-wing parties and become prime minister, since he failed in this event and in previous events. But I think that this is still premature.
And Aviv, we have really seen quite a lot of instability here in the region over these last few weeks, demonstrations continuing in Jerusalem, and we saw a number of people arrested in East Jerusalem overnight. How much does this sort of instability in the region, and given also that the Palestinian elections have been, moved forward, or moved back rather, how much does this sort of play into, at all, these negotiations?
It's a good question, because the alternative government that is now forming and perhaps might come into being, deliberately they don't tackle those issues, and they say, look, we have internal issues to deal with, such as healing the country, all the ideology, how to address the Palestinians, how to cope with the perhaps the elections in the Palestinian authorities, etc., how to deal with the Hamas even. This they're going to leave for the days when and if this government will crystallize. I think that this is quite different, and this is what is so awkward nowadays, because you see a government that, first of all, they have decided who will be the defense minister, who will be the foreign minister, who will be the minister of education. But what will be the guidelines? They're not talking about it, because there's one thing that connects everybody in this part of the political arena, is how to get rid of Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu.
Well, Aviv, it's certainly shaping up to be an interesting few weeks ahead. Always great to get your take on things. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's move now to the indirect talks on the Iran nuclear deal, which resume in Vienna today. And a US State Department official has told reporters that there are still big gaps between the US and Iranian positions regarding what a mutual return to the landmark 2015 accord would look like. Well, the official adding that the Iranians are making unrealistic demands in terms of the sanctions it wants lifted to come back into compliance with the deal, saying, "We're committed to doing it, and we'll have to see in the coming days and weeks whether Iran will be." Well, negotiations over the nuclear accord have been underway for weeks now, with world powers looking to find a way back to the tattered deal ahead of Iran's presidential elections in June. And we do need to go out for a short break, but after this, we'll take you live to India with more than 400,000 new cases registered across the country in the last 24 hours as medical aid is running dry. We'll have all of that and plenty more. Stay right there.